What's going on, everybody? Jean Bisson here, and I finally decided what I'm gonna do with this account. I said before I might do like the free-to-play completionist thing, but nah. So I wanted to do something unique, something new, something fresh, something I haven't seen before, and what I decided was to do a Dungeoneering pure. Now you might be like, that's so dumb, dude. Like, why would you only train Dungeoneering? And that's not what I mean by that. What I'm gonna do is I'm only gonna train my skills in Daemonheim. So in the dungeons is where I can train things. I can't use the outside whole world of Gielinor or however you pronounce it. I don't even know how you pronounce any of this shit. But I can only use what's in the dungeon. So from the smuggler and from what I acquire in the dungeon through the resources there. Basically, how this is going to work is you'll see my progress in the background. Right now, you'll probably see me running into Daemonheim and getting in a dungeon. But you'll see all my progress in the background. I'm going to try to record every single dungeon that I get a level from. So in the start, it's going to be really intensive, just like one after another, me getting levels. But as I get into this, it should take a little bit longer. Basically, how this is going to work is I'm going to be magic based, which I decided to do magic over ranged because ranged you have to make arrows for yourself. And I know you can bind multiple arrows and you can have enough ammunition, but when you make wands and orbs in Daemonheim, they're elemental, which means you get every single elemental rune. So air, water, earth, and fire is already given to you through those runes. So you can basically cast any of the combat spells, which it's basically free magic XP. So I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to try to keep this account one defense for now because I'm still deciding whether or not I'm going to PK later. I really want to, but we're going to have to see. I know there's also a way that you can reset your stats from some guy, I believe, because I remember when they had the original combat update, they had guys that got prayer XP and hit point XP because it gave you no combat levels, but after they went back to the original combat system, so many people complained about it that they had to have stats be reset. But I've never even heard of this idea done before, so it's kind of like a brand new thing. I believe I don't really know of anyone that's done it before, and if someone has, they haven't gotten that far into the progress or made videos on it. So my goals for this account, I'm gonna get my Dungeoneering to 99. I would say 120, but like it's not gonna happen. 99 is probably not even gonna happen. I've never actually gotten skill mastery in this game, even though I've been playing for so long. And I'm also going to focus on my cooking, crafting, and fletching levels. Since I'm going to have one defense, I'm going to need to have a good supply of food. So I'm going to need to be able to cook that food. So that's going to be the main skill that I train. I usually have enough money by the end that you can buy enough food to fight the bosses without an issue. Crafting is for orbs. The orbs are only dependent on your magic level. I don't need any defense, and they're an offhand weapon. And fletching is going to be for the wands. When you put them together, you attack really fast. It's kind of overpowered, especially if you have one defense because it hits so hard. I mean, you get hit a lot, but it really makes up for it. And I really like how the leveling actually works in Daemonheim because it actually makes sense, kind of like in the outside world of Gielinor. Like the smithing levels are a little weird. Like you have to have past 30 smithing to be able to make all of the iron things, which doesn't make a ton of sense. If you look at like the crafting and or the fletching, for example, if you look at the fletching in Daemonheim, the first staff is level 8, or the first wand is level 8, and then the next tier wand is 18, the next tier after that's 28, the next tier after that's 38, and it just makes a lot of sense. So I really like how the leveling works. And going on with leveling, I'm not quite sure what the prestige thing is. I've completed a few dungeons on my main account, and it was like prestige 1, prestige 7, and it went into like my total XP up top, and it averaged the two together. But they were always the same number, so I'm not quite sure. I think how it works is you can access floors at certain levels, and it's less XP if you complete the same floor. So I believe the only time you should prestige is if you're to the max floor that you have unlocked but you can't play it yet, then you would prestige and go through all the levels that you've done again. But I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to look into that when I get to that point. Oh, and going off the PKing thing, I was thinking about starting Deadman Mode because now I'm a member and I can actually like do this. Oh yeah, it did get membership by the way because, it unlocks all the skills. But now I'm considering Deadman Mode, but I'm wondering is it even worth starting now? Since there's a ton of guys at higher levels and there's big clans, have a feeling even if you're in low level gear and you're walking along, like they wouldn't have a reason not to kill you. They would just kill you just in case you'd have something on you. So I don't really know if it's worth it because I would be starting late and I'd be so far behind everybody. And then there might be too much money in the economy. I know when the games first came out, especially old school, when that first came out, like the prices were really freaking weird because there was no money in the game, so everything was like overinflated because there weren't a lot of items and things like that. And now in Deadman mode, it's going to be the same thing. Like at first, I believe everything would have been overinflated. It would have cost a lot of money, but now it's just going to be kind of leveled out, which might be a good thing, but I'm not sure. And I'm also not sure of the longevity of Deadman mode. I remember they had Darkscape, which wasn't as big of a deal. Like they didn't make it like a main game mode. It was basically just like a 4 server thing, and it was like, hey, surprise, here's Darkscape, and there was like no longevity to that. The first 3 days or like first week, I'd say, were so great. Like you had the real big YouTubers playing it, like a friend, and you had all them, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, you'd walk into Lumbridge and it was just like a massacre. I mean, I remember I just made my account. I started. I was placed on the world and I died like immediately. Even though they're guarded areas and everything, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoyed it at the start. However, like a week in, it just kind of died out. Like, and now you look and there's like maybe 800 people through the 4 worlds. Like, it completely died out. No one's really playing it anymore. I've walked around in it for like 5 minutes and not seen a single other person, which I don't really feel is like the fun of it's kind of taken out of it. There's no PKing, there's no danger. It's just kind of you wander around and everyone's just there for the double XP rate. And then another thing about Darkscape is I don't know how the leveling system. It's like 5 times normal XP or something, which looks really cool. But the whole thing about RuneScape is it's really difficult to level up. It takes a long amount of time. It's not difficult, but it's just monotonous. And when you hit a high level and you level up and you hit a major accomplishment, like you earned it. In Deadman, if you're earning 5 times the normal rate, you can do it 5 times as fast. I get that you can die and you can get reset some XP, but I feel like it almost takes the accomplishment out of it, and it's just kind of, like, congrats, now you can do something else in this game. I don't know. And I was wondering, does Deadman Mode get the new old school RuneScape updates? I know it didn't get the Grand Exchange, which, first of all, I hate the Grand Exchange because the Grand Exchange just gets the rich players richer. Like, the rich players can just be like, oh, I'm going to buy 400,000 planks. That'll drive the price up 2 GP, and then I'm just going to sell all of them and make a lot of profit, like 800. I don't really understand why they thought it would be a good idea. I guess in a way, it's more of a skill in itself is money flipping. So, I mean, there's guys that are really good at it, and I've tried it, and like I've had success, but not nearly on the level that some of these guys do that I've seen. But I also feel like I got rid of like the whole trade with button. Like I really liked sitting in banks and like, oh, I'm gonna trade this, I'm buying this. And I really liked it. It's kind of like a community thing. Everyone was there, which I guess that would make a argument for Deadman mode for like maybe I should play it because there's no Grand Exchange. But I was wondering, do they get the new updates? I know old school RuneScape is actually having like a new area given to it, which I don't know how I feel about that. What I've heard is it's like a new mining area. It's not going to be as fast as mining granite, but it's like new rocks, I believe, and it's just a new way to train the skill. And then there's sailing, which they're talking about, and it's going to open up whole new areas and new resources, and I don't know how I feel about that. The whole thing about old school was to keep like the old feel. And I was fine with them adding like small things like more chickens and more cows. Like that's fine. But that's like just a whole new thing added to the game that's not old school at all. It's not pre 2008. It's not 2007 at all. It's just something brand new. And the I guess there were polls and people like the idea. Like it's cool, I guess. I mean, sailing's been talked about in the game forever, but I just don't feel like that's the whole premise of old school. The premise of old school is to keep it like it was back in the day, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. And I hope those updates don't go into Deadman mode because the prices are like I said, the prices were kind of weird before, And whenever you add something new to the game, there's always like an overinflation in prices, and it always has to like balance out, and it takes a while. And in Deadman, I feel like it's just going to be all the high levels that take advantage of those new resources, and they'll just kill everybody else that tries to get to the resources. I just don't feel like that's a good idea, but I'm not sure if they're gonna bring that over to Deadman Mode. They might keep Deadman Mode the way it is, but like I said, I'm not sure. I'm just speculating at this point. I think everybody is. And then there's the whole inventor thing being added to RS3, which again, I don't know why they keep adding like new skills, especially like divination's a weird skill. I don't like it at all. It's kind of just like, okay, you get some things and you get something that like kind of helps you out, but you know, this is basically for the people that are maxed that we want to stay in the game because that's all that's playing the game right now. We're just going to pump out another skill. And I don't really know how I feel about it. Inventor seems like it could be alright because you can like upgrade your weapons and you can do a bunch of other stuff like that. I mean, I guess it adds like another element to it, but I thought it was supposed to be like a continuation of divination. I don't know how those two skills are supposed to interrelate or if they do it all. I might have just misinterpreted that at all. But you know, they're adding all these new skills, which I'm not comfortable with. It seems like every time Jagex updates the game and tries to do something groundbreaking, something revolutionary, it really bites them in the ass and it goes in the opposite direction and they lose more players. Like they decided to get rid of the wilderness and they decided to get rid of free trade, all that stuff. They thought it would cut down on the real world trade and it would cut down on the botting and it would make the game ultimately better. And it really hurt the game and they lost a ton of players. PKing has never been the same. There's never been that whole community. Well, until 07. 07 brought some of it back, but there's never been that big of a community since that happened. And then you had the whole evolution of combat, which took those numbers even further down. And like the evolution of combat hurt like PVMers and it hurt casual players of the game to the point where they didn't want to play it. They didn't want to be bothered with, you know, pressing all the buttons and using abilities when the entire premise of the game before this was just click, watch your guy fight it, maybe drink some potions and eat some food. You know, it added a lot of complications that weren't really necessary, and I feel like it hurt them. And now they're planning on bringing these things to 2007, which is half their population of players. And I don't think RS3 is going to be hurt at all by any new updates because people that are still playing RS3, it doesn't matter what they do, they're going to play RS3. They've been through a lot of shit updates so far. They're going to stick through a lot of shit updates. They're the really loyal ones that really like the direction that it's going in. And even if they don't, they just are so determined to max their account that's not going to affect them. But the 07 players, I feel, are different. And if they start adding a bunch of new stuff, I feel like it's going to hurt the population and it's just going to dwindle the numbers even further. And there's this whole thing that like RuneScape's dead. And I would kind of agree with it in a way, but there's still a ton of players online. Like on double XP weekends, I mean, you hit over 100,000 usually, and that's still a lot of freaking people to play the game. And I'm sure most of them are members because I've recently become a member, and I've noticed a lot more people in those worlds. Like I go to Birth Rope in a member world, and it's like packed. I go to one in a free-to-play world, and there's like 6 people standing around in front of the bank, and one in front of Challenge Mistress Farah, and one person in like the new whatever robes those are called, the Pathfinder robes. There's like one person standing there with like an Avernic wand that clearly just started the game. I mean, other than that, there's really not much there. So I'm not gonna say that the game's dying. I don't really believe it is. There are less players for sure, but the players that are there are very loyal to the company, very loyal to the game. They're going to stick with the game because it's probably all they've ever played since they were a little kid. But that's basically going to be it for this video. The thing I noticed doing Dungeoneering is Herblore I couldn't even do anything with. I could not train that skill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete Druidic Ritual, which allows me to get, I'll probably just get 3 Herblore from the quest. So I'll do that, and then I'll be able to actually make potions in Daemonheim. I might not ever even make potions. I don't really see much need to, especially at the lower level floors. There's not much point. Kind of the same thing with summoning. I could do Wolf Whistle too, but for now I'm just going to do Druidic Ritual. And then I'm going to sell all my starter cash stuff, which now is absolutely pointless But what I did in the last video was I was collecting polar cabbage furs. I was real busy last week, so I did not play a lot. I think I played 2 days. But I got about 500,000 worth of items, which in free-to-play, that's not terrible. So I'm going to sell that here, and I'm going to make about 500k starter cash, which, you know, like I said, it's kind of pointless. But now I have the Dungeoneering tokens, and my question to you is, what Dungeoneering rewards should I go for? I'm not exactly sure about the rewards. I've never actually bought one, now that I think about it. I've always tried for Gravite. Like, I had an Iron Man for a while, and I was thinking about doing Gravite, but I never got there. So, I've never actually bought a reward. I feel like Bone Crusher would be really cool for training Prayer, because it automatically buries bones, I believe, every time you kill something. But I don't know. Like I said, let me know. And that's probably going to be it for this video. I am Jean Bisson. I'm not wearing pants. And thanks for watching.